Rand Paul went on Fox News to take a couple shots at Jeb Bush. Of course, he's doing this because the 2016 election is coming up. He knows he's going to be running against him, so he's trying to put him down early. Jeb Bush is going to engage in this back and forth as well. But he also was refreshingly intelligent on the issue of marijuana, certainly more intelligent than all the other crazy Republicans. Let's watch.
Comment that many thought was that you were taking a shot at Jeb Bush, and it had to do with that you think it's hypocrisy that people on our side include a lot of people making mistakes growing up, admit their mistakes, but they still want to put people in jail for smoking pot. Would you want to legalize pot like they did in Colorado, or would you what's your position?
I'm not really promoting legalization, but I am promoting making the penalties much less severe and not putting people in jail for 10, 20, 30 years. Here's the problem. If you're white and you're rich in our country, if you get busted for drugs, you get a good attorney and you in all likelihood serve no time. But if you're poor, black, Hispanic, or poor and white for that matter, you can get put in jail sometimes. One young man was 24, caught for selling marijuana, got 55 years in prison. And I kind of laughingly say you can kill somebody in Kentucky and get out sooner. California recently started taking some of these felonies and making them misdemeanors. You know what the result was? They can now keep violent prisoners in for their whole sentence or most of their sentence instead of releasing early.
All right, but
so
you're saying
violent prisoners to stay in jail.
You're saying you're not promoting marijuana legalization. Do you support marijuana legalization?
I would let states choose, and I don't know what will happen, whether it's going to end up being good or bad, but I would let the states choose because I believe in federalism and states' rights. But I think it is hypocritical for very wealthy white people who have all the resources to evade the drug laws to say, oh, well, I mean, particularly in Jeb Bush's case, he's against even allowing medical marijuana for people that are confined to wheelchairs from multiple sclerosis. Or I know a family whose child has 200 seizures a day, and they've tried all of the traditional medicines for seizures, and their child still suffers. They've moved to Colorado because they want to use the THC, or actually the cannabis oil without the THC, so it's a part of the plant. But that's illegal in Florida, and still Jeb Bush would keep that illegal. I would let doctors prescribe that, and I think that's the least we can do for some of these people with chronic illnesses.
Okay, this is really interesting to watch because Rand Paul is as liberal as you're going to have any Republican get on the issue of marijuana and drug policy in general, except for Ron Paul, his dad, who's not there anymore. But it's going to be interesting to see the reaction because there's this massive catch-22 going on within the Republican Party, and I think that the party is aware of it, and they don't know what to do. And what I mean by that is the future of the party is in jeopardy because they're caught in between pleasing their base and pleasing literally everybody else in the country. So the base of the Republican Party is completely socially conservative. I mean, evangelical Christians are a tremendous voting bloc for the Republicans, and these guys are, of course, massively anti-abortion, and they're against the legalization of weed and against the legalization of any drugs, and they're for tough-on-crime laws, and they're, you know, we can go on and on here with all gay marriage, against gay marriage, and the list goes on and on. So they have to please these people to get through the primary, but at the same time, if the GOP in the future does not become more socially liberal, they're not going to win national elections, specifically for the presidency. They can't. They just can't do it. Because when you look at the polling data, unless you're a really hardcore Republican and an evangelical Christian, everybody else now is like, okay, legalize weed. 59% say that. Even more people say at least decriminalize it. Again, 60% now are pro-gay marriage. The overwhelming majority are pro-choice. So you have this issue where moderates in America, all Democrats in America, and even some moderate conservatives, yes, I know it's crazy that they exist in the country, but they're silent, but they're there, right? All that entire block, this tremendous chunk of the American population, they're all like, enough with the social conservatism bullshit, get your religion out of my face. They might even be religious, but they don't want to legislate laws based off of people's religion. So you need to have the Republican Party at some point become more like the more advanced and intellectual European conservatives. And to be clear, obviously not the rabid neo-fascists. I'm talking about your standard, British moderate conservatives, where social issues are a non-issue, where you don't even talk about those because those are settled issues, and then they might, disagree a little bit over fiscal issues. The Republicans are going to need to go in that direction eventually, but it's a matter of when is it too soon? And I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. Because right now, it may be the right time that, somebody like Rand Paul can, if he can get enough donor money and his message resonates as it might, he might be able to get through. But it may be too early for a guy like him who's somewhat reasonable on different social issues to get through the primary. So we'll see, man, but this Catch-22 is fascinating. That's the most sense you're ever going to hear anybody talk on Fox News about that issue.